In today's video, you're going to learn the 4 steps to protect yourself from the coronavirus, but also you're going to learn some amazing foods to boost your immune system. Here you're going to find all the resources you need to live a healthy and abundant life, everything from recipes to interviews with experts. So hit the subscribe button and enjoy the channel. I'm Dr. Laurie Marbas. I'm board certified family and lifestyle medicine physician. I really specialize in helping people get well. So today I really want to talk to you about something that's on all of our minds, and that's the coronavirus. It's really easy to feel helpless and not sure what to do, but there are a couple of steps that you can take to help protect yourself and your family. First of all, we've all heard it, social distancing, or more of a self-isolation. That has been shown to be very effective. Even in the 1918 Spanish flu, there was one city that chose to do it and one city that chose not to, and there was dramatic differences in their actual mortality rate. So what does that mean exactly? You'll hear people say, oh, you need to stay at least 6 feet away. Why 6 feet? Because when someone coughs or sneezes, that particle or the virus that someone may be infected with can travel up to 6 feet, and you don't want to be in that hot zone. So social distancing, what does that mean also? It means you don't go to restaurants, you don't go to social gatherings or places that you don't have to be. If you can work from home, that's even better. This is going to be a huge influence on what we call flattening the curve. You may have heard that in the news as well. What does that mean? Basically, when we see someone, like you see a virus, like the flu, for example, you'll see this kind of a bell-shaped curve. And what we want to do is not have this huge surge of sick people all at once, because it'll overwhelm our hospitals and our doctors' offices. You've seen that happen in Italy, right? But South Korea also became infected about the same time. What you'll see in Italy is that they were overwhelmed. They couldn't find who was that very first patient, who was the source of all the infection. Where South Korea was able to actually isolate who that was, and they started the social distancing very quickly, and they have a much lower mortality rate in South Korea versus in Italy. And now Italy is being also overwhelmed. Their hospital care, they don't have enough respirators to help people who are having difficulty breathing. And I'm not trying to say that to scare you, I'm just trying to show you the importance of everyday behaviors, the choices that we make are very, very important, keeping us all safe. So social distancing, meaning keeping yourself at home, away from possible infection. If you are infected, if you have minor symptoms, which 80% of people who have this are going to have minor symptoms, staying at home for a period of time, being in touch with your doctor, keeping an eye on things. If you start feeling worse, call your doctor or of course 911 if it is an actual emergency. So social distancing, that's the first step. Number 2, wash our hands. Why do we need to wash our hands? Well, because that virus will live on things. When you touch something, it is now transmitted to your hands. You can wipe your nose, rub your eyes. Granted, this is a new virus, but from what the experts are saying, that it looks like it can stay on surfaces for about 3 days. Now, just because it can live or be detected on surfaces for 3 days doesn't mean that it's necessarily contagious, but we don't know. So the best bet is just honestly wash your hands frequently. And what's the best way to do that? Washing with soap and water. Can be antibacterial if you need to, but regular soap and water will work as well for 20 seconds at least. Good lather, scrubbing, and getting that off. Nice warm, lukewarm water. Some people say, remember, if you don't want to count to 20, you can sing the ABCs in your head. But then again, nobody's going to say anything because we're all going to be washing our hands together. The other thing that you can do is don't touch your face. Okay, why was that? Because how's the entry of the virus into our system? Is rubbing our nose, rubbing our eyes, or touching our face, some people chew their nails, some other things like that. So don't touch your face and wash your hands. All right, so third thing, which has been my favorite things, is actually boosting our immune system. So we're hearing less of that in the media. We're hearing about how to keep from getting it, but what happens if you do contract it? Or what if you're exposed? How can we maybe prevent, getting a really much more severe case? So our immune system is our best defense outside of being exposed. So how do we do that? Number 1, get some rest. Make sure that you're sleeping 7 to 8 hours a night if you can. Number 2, exercise every day. Exercise has been shown to boost your immune system. And 3, which I love to talk about, is of course nutrition. So the studies have shown that if you can eat 8 to 10 servings of fruits and vegetables daily, you're going to have a much more robust immune system. So when you are exposed to a virus like the flu or the coronavirus, you're going to be more ready to actually fight this off. So Who are the ones getting the coronavirus that are dying? These are the people who have a compromised immune system, or elderly, or someone who has chronic disease. Unfortunately, in the United States, we have a huge burden of chronic disease. Number one killer of Americans is heart disease. A third of Americans are pre-diabetic or diabetic, or pre-diabetic or diabetic. In addition to that, obesity. Obesity can actually increase your risk of hospitalization when you're exposed to the flu by about 5 to 6%. So what can we do in order to decrease our risk for chronic disease and boost our immune system? Is those fruits and vegetables. So instead of going to the store, like when I went to the store to buy some things for this show today, there was a huge line. What do I see in people's baskets? Coca-Cola, chips, Doritos, alcohol, all these prepackaged processed foods. These are not going to keep them well. What do you need to do? You need to make your way over to the produce aisle, pick your favorite things, make some of the things we're going to make today. Example, the broccoli and cauliflower bites, which will follow up after this talk. And it's just really important that we understand that every single day we have to flood our system with these amazing nutrients. So what's the fourth thing that you can do to protect yourself from the coronavirus? Well, it's more not necessarily protect yourself from the actual coronavirus, but maybe coronavirus-induced anxiety. How about that? So when you see things going on around you, affecting everyone around the world, it can cause a little bit of stress. And in some people, and well, in a lot of people, they become very anxious. You'll hear about people fighting outside of big box stores like Costco or Sam's because they're thinking they need to hoard certain things like toilet paper for 6 months. You can see this irrational behavior and we just shake our heads going, what do we do? Well, let's think about it. First of all, why do we have anxiety to begin with? Why do we have fear? So my good friend, Dr. Jud Brewer, actually wrote a great article for the New York Times just about this topic. He's an excellent expert and I'll put the link to it in the show notes below. We're also going to be doing a podcast, so be looking out for that to explain this even further. But first of all, we have fear to protect us. It's a survival mechanism, right? So you want to avoid things that hurt you. You touch a hot stove, you learn not to do that again because it hurts. Our bodies are made, our minds are made to protect us, to keep us in surviving, to move on, to live longer. So when we see things like this that we're uncertain of, we know people are dying, that can cause a lot of fear. Okay, that's to be expected. It's a little bit of a stressful situation. Well, then you actually move fear in with uncertainty, which is what we have the coronavirus. It's one thing to be fearful of, walking across the street with a big truck coming down it because you can be hurt. It's a different issue when you have something like the coronavirus because it's uncertain of who's going to get sick next. Is it morphing? What's going on? Well, that leads to anxiety. So that's the component where you start worrying and you start thinking about it all the time. You can't watch the news or you can't scroll through social media without just fixating on something, and then you just worry about, I can't control this, I'm going to die. These are the things that build the anxiety into you, and you can feel it in your body. You feel tight and tense. Well, now we move anxiety together with social contagion. What's social contagion? Well, anxiety and social contagion equal panic. Social contagion is actually when an emotion can be shared between people. So, have you ever seen those videos where people are laughing and you see one person laughing, then the next person's laughing, and before you know it, the whole room is laughing? That's the same idea with anxiety. You walk into a room, you're a little anxious, everyone sees you, you go to a grocery store, suddenly you see huge carts full of stuff, you get anxious. That is the social contagion. Did you know obesity is also a social contagion? And there's a great book called Connected that talks all about it, and some other videos, but for understanding that emotions can be spread. So now we have anxiety, social contagion, that leads to panic. And what happens when we panic? We make irrational decisions and impulsive behaviors, which lead to doing things that we normally would not do. For example, buying 6 months worth of toilet paper unnecessarily. So how do we stop this process? How do we stop being a victim to our own minds trying to help us survive? Well, my good friend Jud, like I said, has a great way of explaining it. It's called mindfulness. And I've really enjoyed studying mindfulness because I think it's a very powerful tool to actually help navigate bad behaviors, or I'd say bad habits, but also just anxiety. If you think about anxiety as a habit, so we can actually become aware, just take our time and think about what's going on. So let's say we're walking around the grocery store, we're walking around home, whatever, and we touch our face, and then you just realize you touched your face and you start panicking a little bit because, oh my goodness, I just touched my face and now I'm going to get the coronavirus and I'm going to die. Okay, those are the process of thoughts. You become panicky, right? But instead, maybe just sit back and go, okay, I'm going to take a deep breath. I realize I'm anxious, and think about, what does this behavior actually benefit me, or what am I getting out of this behavior? And maybe think about, when was the last time that I actually washed my hands? Okay, so I'm anxious. I'm gonna think about this. Okay, I touched my face. It's okay. When was the last time I washed my hands? Oh yeah, maybe 10 minutes ago. Have I been exposed to anyone that's, obviously very sick? No, I'm okay. I'm at home. I washed my hands just recently. Calm down, it's okay. So that's just kind of this very simple process. You're just really looking at the behavior, and then you're asking about, well, what am I getting from the behavior? But like I said, we're gonna do the podcast and we'll get into this a little bit deeper, and I'll send you also to drjud.com, which is some great resources. He has some apps and things that you can also use. But that's the whole point of mindfulness, is just taking the subconscious mind and running through this habit loop of anxiety, stopping it, bring it to the conscious mind, letting your thinking brain take over so you can make rational, really thoughtful decisions. So we actually become more calm and able to take care of ourselves and our family. So, in summary, the 4 steps, of course: social distancing, okay, wash your hands, good hygiene, boost your immune system, rest, exercise, and amazing nutrients, and then of course mindfulness. Let mindfulness kind of be the antidote to the anxiety of the coronavirus. In the next part of this video, we're going to talk about how to bring nutritious together with delicious, with broccoli and cauliflower bites. So today we're going to make broccoli cauliflower bites. And the beautiful thing about this, it contains 2 different types of cruciferous vegetables. And these are some of the vegetables that have been shown to be very helpful in boosting your immune system. So there was one interesting study where there was a group of elderly, and they had people who just ate some fruits and vegetables 2 servings a day, and then they had those who were eating 5 servings a day. And those who actually ate 5 servings of fruits and vegetables per day actually had an 80% increase in antibody formation to a pneumonia vaccine. So what does that mean? That means that when you get exposed to any type of infection, bacteria or virus, you want your immune system to respond to halt the ability of the virus to replicate in your body. So the cruciferous vegetables are really good at doing that. Things like cauliflower, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, kale, cabbage, and collards. Those are some amazing things to try to include in your diet every day. So what we've done now is we've actually taken, it's about 3 cups total of broccoli that we steamed and cauliflower that we steamed for about 8 to 10 minutes. We pulsed it in our food processor. We placed that in the bowl. And then we also pulsed 1 bunch of green onions, which is about 6 to 7 of those little stalks, 1 bunch of cilantro, and with that we had some microgreens from Hamama that we grow at home. Again, just a little bit there, maybe about a 1/4 cup. We pulse that all together, we mix it in the bowl, and with the bowl, what we want to do next is actually add all these other amazing ingredients. So we created 2 flax eggs. So this is actually 2 tablespoons of ground flaxseed, which is also very helpful for you. Got some great anti-cancer properties and also helps with reduction of blood pressure. So this is 2 tablespoons of ground flax, 6 tablespoons of warm water. So we're going to add that in. Okay, and then we actually cooked some quinoa. Quinoa is very good for you, has high protein. This is 2 cups of cooked quinoa. I like to make extra whenever I do cook quinoa because I keep it in the fridge. You can use it on adding to soups or to salads if you want to kind of increase the bulk and the, making you feel full, but also the nutritional profile. This is a 1/3 cup of nutritional yeast. Nutritional yeast, which you can find in the store. This is Bragg's brand. I found it in my local grocery store. It can be fortified or unfortified. Some people prefer the unfortified, but there is a little bit of B12 in nutritional yeast, because it's not really a plant. All right, so this is my seasonings. I actually just kind of put them all together. What you'll see here is 1 minced garlic clove, You're gonna have 1.5 teaspoons of onion powder, 1.5 teaspoons of garlic powder, and a little bit of salt, about 1/2 teaspoon. Pepper. Some people prefer to add salt, but if you have high blood pressure or trying to stay really healthy, I would avoid it. Okay. And now what we're gonna do, just kind of mix it around a little bit. All right, and we're gonna add in our final ingredients. So this is 1/2 cup of almond flour with 1/2 teaspoon of baking powder. Okay, I'm just gonna mix this up a little bit. All right, move these out of the way. Okay, so now what you have here is a great mixture that we're gonna make our little bites out of. So, and if you find that they're not sticking very well, you could add a little bit of water if you wanted to, but for the majority, this will work. Or even add, again, you have to make a mess to make good, yummy things. You just really may wanna add another flax egg too. That might be an option. But the whole goal is to get this well mixed, because what we're gonna do is create these little bites. And how thick you make them is gonna determine how long you actually cook them. I've preheated my oven at 375. And on average, this will maybe take, I don't know, 20 to 25 minutes total. You might wanna flip them in the middle, just so they get well done. Let me put this here. And I'm gonna use a spoon. I'll show you how a great way to make these little bites. But again, you want this really well mixed. And if you have children at home, which some of us will with the coronavirus, this is a great job for them, is to mix it and to make the little balls. But I'm also happy to do this just with, you know, the spoon, but you can also, if you want to, measure out. If you want to be really uniform about it, get like a little 1/4 cup measuring cup and measure it out that way. All right, so I think we're pretty good here. So you can see it kind of has a pretty good consistency, a little bit sticky. So now again, I have my cookie sheet with the silicone layer there. So, and these you just want to, what I found is that anytime I'm making any kind of little balls or veggie patties or anything, if I just take a bit and kind of squeeze them together and then form them afterwards, lay them here. So that's probably about 2 inches. You might want to make them a tad bit smaller, but again, it's up to you. And then what we'll do is we'll talk about the dressing. So you can use any type of dressing. A vegan or plant-based ranch dressing would be really good, but we're gonna talk about a lemon tahini dressing, which is really simple to make. Again, even the kids can make that. It's super easy. Okay, so now we've made our broccoli bites into little patties, and we're gonna move these into the oven, which we preheated at 375 degrees. We'll leave them in there for about 25 minutes, but we'll flip them halfway through. Okay, now we're gonna actually make our tahini lemon dressing. That's gonna be kind of our dipping sauce for our broccoli bites, but you can make any type of dressing. You can make any plant-based alternative like a ranch or a Caesar, or maybe a creamy garlic would also be good. But what we've done is we've taken tahini sauce, or ground tahini, basically ground sesame seeds, and I measured out a 1/4 cup, okay, and that's in here. And then I juiced 1 lemon, and I'm gonna pour the juice in here. And then I minced 1 garlic clove. And, you know, just a dash of pepper to taste, along with 1/3 cup of water. Now this will make about, I don't know, 2/3 cup of dressing. And if you find that it's too watery for your purposes of making a dipping sauce, you can always add more tahini. The nice thing about this is that all I have to do is use a whisk. I don't have to use like a Vitamix. All right, let's give that a taste. That's good. So now we have actually baked our broccoli cauliflower bites for about 25 minutes. I flipped them halfway through, and that was at 375. Just gonna take these out.